Welcome, PFL fight fans, once again to Overtime Elite Arena as the push to the playoffs continues. And last week, we had some surprising results. We're pushing towards a main event featuring that man, the return of Walking Trouble as he takes on the Crochet Boss. Main event Mo, at least that's what he's called himself tonight. Larissa Pacheco, 155-pound champ. Now she wants a 145 belt, but Amber Leibrock stands in her way tonight. Julia Budd, winner-go-home scenario for her. She's in the building, getting the hand wraps, dialing herself in. Jordan Heiderman, also in a winner-go-home scenario as he makes his PFL debut and puts his undefeated pro mixed martial arts record on the line. Welcome to the PFL pre-fight show. Heavyweights and women's featherweights with a push to the playoffs here at OTE Arena. And this is our main card. Later tonight, simulcast right here on ESPN Plus, of course, but also on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Ante Dilia is a favorite, as is Larissa Pacheco, prohibitive number next to her name. Reina Ferreira and Aspen Ladd are also favorites in their regular season bouts. In a special amateur lightweight showcase featuring the grandson of Muhammad Ali, Biagio Ali Walsh steps back into the smart cage against a local favorite, Travell Miller. That's coming up later. We'll start the action right here on Plus with these fights. Dennis Goltsov looking to shake the monkey off his back and get himself a PFL championship for the first time. Marina Mokhnakina and Evelyn Martins in a dead heat as they fight for the playoff spot. And of course, you can see a big number next to Elena Kolesnik's name as she takes on Yoko Higashi. Sean O'Connell and Randy Couture and Kenny Florian here beside the PFL Smart Cage. Not so long before we get these women's featherweights and the heavyweights in to push towards the playoffs. And Randy, this is the toughest test in mixed martial arts in all of sports, arguably, and we've had some surprising results so far.
I think you're absolutely correct. As if mixed martial arts wasn't tough enough, the Professional Fighters League came up with a format that is the toughest sports format in all of sports on this planet. You want to be a champion in the PFL? You're signing up to fight 4 times in 8 months. You better strap them on tight. And anything can happen in this sport, as we've seen last week. A lot of playoff contention and points on the line, and anything can happen. Here, Jesus Pinedo coming in from the Challenger Series in against last year's champion, Brendan Loughnane, lands the knee and gets it done. Not only did he eliminate last year's champion, but Chris Wade, one of our semifinalists and finalists for the last 4 years. So Jesus Pinedo getting it done. Anything can happen. That's mixed martial arts and the Professional Fighters League.
All right, to drive that point home, Brendan Loughnane went into that fight in a good situation points-wise, right? He needed to get a win, and he was going to be in, and then that happened, and he's out of the playoffs. So let's talk about the playoff scenarios in both the heavyweight division and the women's featherweight division tonight.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the PFL. You know, it's not enough to just go out there and win. You need the maximum amount of points in order to advance. Here you see Amber Leibrock atop the featherweight standings, but even she can't really be comfortable at this stage of the game. She needs a win as well. And, you know, what's crazy is you have Larissa Pacheco, last year's champ at 155 pounds with only 3 points. She's going to need more points as well. And then, of course, the highly touted Aspen Ladd, you know, 0 points, guys. So she's going to not only need a win, but she needs an early finish to advance. Let's take a look at the heavyweight standings. Last year's champ, Ante Dilia, in the main event tonight. He has 0 points. Had an injury, wasn't able to compete in the first fight of the season, so he needs to do some serious work against Maurice Green, who has 5 points. Maybe not sitting comfortably there, but again, at the top of the leaderboard at number 2.
All right, so since you brought it up, let's talk about that main event contest. Ante Dilia back against the wall. He's going to need a finish, like Kenny mentioned, to guarantee himself a spot in the playoffs. And I shouldn't say that. Even a finish wouldn't guarantee him a spot in the playoffs. But when you got a guy like him in a desperate situation, Randy, what do we get in the smart cage?
Well, I'll tell you what, here's a guy that trains with Mirko Krokop, one of the best strikers in the sport of mixed martial arts and kickboxing in Croatia. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's got a great judo background. His punch selection, his accuracy, the combinations that he throws. If you stand around in front of this guy, you are going to have a serious problem. His ground and pound is on point. He gets on top of you, you're going to have a very serious problem. He's a very well-rounded Very skilled fighter, last year's returning champion. He has all the skills he needs to get it done tonight.
Okay, and standing across from Ante Dilia is a guy who's actually bigger than the 6'5" Ante Dilia, the crochet boss, Maurice Green. He looks better now than we've ever seen him look in his mixed martial arts career.
Yeah, no question about it. You know, a few years ago, he made a commitment to be the best he could be in this sport. If you want to be the best, you got to train with the best. He's been training with one of the best, perhaps the GOAT in mixed martial arts, Jon Jones. Jon Jones will be cornering him tonight, but we saw that in his performance against Marcelo Nunes there. An excellent grappler, a tough stylistic matchup, but even when it went to the mat, he did a great job of fighting his way back to his feet, and when he was back on his feet, he absolutely capitalized with some devastating strikes. He's coming into this one very confident.
So a stellar main event, great co-main. We're going to talk about all of it here on the pre-show, and we've got a big crew to help us out, including Dan Hardy. Dan, to you.
Thank you, guys. Now, of course, Ante Dilia, a big, intimidating individual. As Randy mentioned, trained by the great Mirko Cro Cop, one of my favorites. But you've got to look back into Ante Dilia's career. We can see, of course, that he is usually the bigger guy in there, but it's not like he's only fought guys that are smaller than him. We go back to his fight against Goltsov, where he's able to work around that really long jab of the taller opponent. And then his performance against Renan Ferreira, where he was able to get on top and use that overpowering, overbearing ground and pound and heavy top game to be able to dominate his opponent and get that finish. Of course, he's the smaller man in the cage tonight, but he's got the skills to get the job done. Brett Okamoto, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. And you guys, Kenny Florian brought it up, that his Maurice Green training with Jon Jones, and he was speaking about that this week during the fighter meetings. He was saying one of the reasons that he has so much confidence working with Jon Jones is just the absolute size of Jon Jones. I mean, Jon Jones came into the host hotel last night here in Atlanta, and everybody's just kind of talking about it. Is that Jon Jones, man? He is big. He is enjoying his heavyweight life. So Maurice Green was actually excited to just get a hand on Ante Dilia and be like, he's a small man, dude. Compared to what I've seen in the gym with Jon Jones, I'm going to out-muscle, out-athlete this guy all night, and that is going to help me pull off the upset victory here in Atlanta. And for more on this evening, here is Andy Shepard.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Tonight is all about earning a place in the playoffs, and we saw last week just how crazy things can get with a playoff spot at stake. The featherweight division is a prime example. In the first half of the regular season, there was only one finish within that division. Last week, all 5 of the featherweight contests finished in the first or second round. There were instances where I hadn't even got back to my seat after announcing the fighters into the smart cage before to turn around, go back and announce the winner. And not least in our main event, where Jesus Pinedo caused a massive upset, finishing last year's champion and a man who's never been stopped in Brendan Loughnane. And I've got a feeling we're going to see a few surprises right here tonight. Sean, back to you.
It's a good-looking crew, right? Dan Hardy, Brett Okamoto, Andy Shepard, even Kenny.
Yeah, well, all right.
Let's talk about a little bit more about this main event. You know what? Take a look as we set the stage for an incredible contest between two hard-hitting heavyweights.
I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be right where I am. I'm gonna calm Andre the whole time. It's mental warfare.
Paka borba završi. Ja se nadam u roku 2 runde da će biti.
Left hands are significant, and now head up for Harris, turning up.
Big shots by Maurice Green.
Dilia a little taunting. Oh, wow, jab again.
I'm gonna end his 2023 PFL run as quick as it started.
Ante Dilia, it's Ante Dilia, but Maurice Green all week long said it's Andre Dilia if I say it is. It's mental warfare, I guess, for the crochet boss. I showed you earlier the main card. I showed you the odds and the big number next to Ante Dilia's name. He's a prohibitive favorite in this main event contest. How do you bet a fight like this? Well, we have experts for that. Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker just happen to be the best in the business. So tell me how we're betting the main event.
Sean, thank you very much. Now, by the way, let Ante know that I'm going to go with Ante. I'm going to go with his real name, just so he's clear on that. Now, I love the word that Sean O'Connell used, desperate, because that's exactly where we found Ante Delia tonight. Let's look back at his last 5 fights. Back in 2021, he lost the $1 million fight to Bruno Capolosa, but then in 2022, he came back focused, ready to go. He swept the board, including the $1 million fight. But Ian Parker's, we fire up the big board. The only fighter that's been able to beat Delia is injury. An injury kept him out of April, so he's now desperate not only for a win tonight, but a finish in the first round. So, how are we handicapping this fight?
Well, Coach, if you look at the odds at the PFL betting big board, we got Ante Delia at -460. Ante, I did call you Ante, by the way. I don't want to get that confused. I'm terrified of him. But we're going to go to our props. You know, that number is just way too high. Now, he said in his interview, I'm getting this done in rounds 1 or 2. Coach, -105 by finish for Ante Delia. I love that play. We're going to go there. Now, if you think the fight's going to go a little bit longer, you think that Green can hold off, because I believe Sean, Kenny, and Randy said he doesn't have to have that much urgency as much. He just needs to win. Then you can go to our round props and under 1.5 plus 130 if Delia can get it done in that time. Coach, I like both those plays. Let's run it.
Yeah, Ian Parker's been like a caged animal all week, Sean O'Connell. And I want people at home to remember that this is about bonus points, so it's a little bit different than normal MMA handicapping. Stay with us throughout the night. We'll get you set for the main card, but also the undercard as well. Sean, back to you.
Thanks, fellas. We will be checking in with our betting experts all night. But let's shift our focus a little bit to a co-main event. I'm really looking forward to this fight. The women's featherweights taking center stage for the co-main event, and we'll look at our featherweight standings because this helps tell the story of that co-main. Amber Leibrock is right now top of the table, coming off a highlight reel finish. Marina Mokhnakina is right behind her with 5 points. Larissa Pacheco, last year's 155-pound women's champion, she's got 3 points. Hard-fought decision victory. She feels like she kind of shook off some rust, but what this sets up is the potential for Amber Leibrock to knock the returning champion out of the playoffs. That doesn't happen in the PFL, right? We saw it last week.
Yeah.
All right. What does that mean for Larissa Pacheco? Looking to make history as the first ever PFL champion in 2 different weight classes. She came down. The weight cuts have been hard. Can she improve upon the 3 points she's got now?
Yeah, she certainly can't be comfortable with just 3 points. And, you know, for her, it's way bigger than even competing on this season. She's competing against all the great female fighters that have ever competed. Last year, she said, I'm going to knock out every single woman on my way to the final. I'm going to face Kayla Harrison in the final, and I'm going to beat her. Well, she did exactly that. Her finish percentage is just ridiculous here in the PFL. She was the champion at 155 pounds. Came in here this season, didn't have a great weight cut, but she did what champions do, and she found a way to win.
Yeah, decision victory over Julia Budd, and that was the best version of Julia Budd we've seen in a while. So that was no easy fight for Larissa Pacheco. Now let's talk about the other side of the smart cage here. Amber Leibrock, as I mentioned, coming off that highlight reel victory. She's got 6 points. She's in a good spot right now. Randy, how do you improve on the performance we saw last time out?
Well, first of all, Amber Leibrock cuts an imposing figure at 6 foot tall and 145 pounds in this division. She's got long-range weapons, which is what we saw here against Martina Gindrova with that high kick right on the button. You're going to hear that anywhere in the arena. Remarkable. Not only has she got those long levers for striking, both her hands and her feet, but she uses those long levers on the ground as well. She's a very well-rounded fighter. Don't overlook a ground game. She may need those skills tonight, but she's got everything she did, and she's sitting at the top of the leaderboard.
So I think if you look at those highlights, what you got to take away is 2 finishers in that co-main event, and both of them looking to guarantee that their chase for $1 million championship continues. We're going to open the main card tonight with a special showcase feature, okay? This is relatively uncommon. You don't often see amateurs on this stage, but Biagio Ali Walsh is the grandson of Muhammad Ali, and he has looked incredible so far every time he's stepped in to the smart cage. Randy, he trains at your gym, so I want to ask you, Biagio Ali Walsh, he's taking it slow, right?
Yep.
He's not making a jump early in his career to get that pro card, so to speak. What do you expect from him tonight?
Well, I tell you what, he's been very, very impressive. He reminds me a lot of my son, who in their first amateur fights has the media chasing them all over. Nobody. Muhammad Ali was obviously an icon in combative sports. Ali Walsh, Bellagio, is trying to live up to that, and he's doing a massive, great job. Very articulate. His striking is on point. He's got great ground skills. I've seen that in the gym. Nobody's tested that yet in the smart cage. Maybe we see that tested here tonight. He is a well-rounded fighter with a great head on his shoulders. He's an articulate young man. I think Muhammad Ali would be very proud of him.
He knows exactly the responsibility of carrying that Ali name into the smart cage, and he's done a remarkable job of it so far. For more on Biagio Ali Walsh, take a look.
Biagio Ali Walsh is an amateur right now, but he doesn't fight like an amateur. He fights like someone that's got combat sports in his blood, in his DNA.
Walsh, excellent combinations.
You know, you could be Muhammad Ali's grandson and be not a good fighter at all. You know, where's the attention there?
Ali Walsh all over him right now.
Oh, big shot!
I'm ready to show my speed, show my explosiveness, show my fight IQ, show people how much I've improved, and show people like, wow, this kid really does have a lot of potential.
Biagio going right back to stalking his prey. Right hand. He lines up another one, and Mark Smith has seen him.
I see myself as a fighter that can be a champion.
Biagio Ali Walsh.
So Biagio Ali Walsh will start the action, and then we've got 4 more great fights on our main card on ESPN simulcast right here on ESPN Plus and Deportes. But how do we bet all those main card fights? Let's welcome the experts back in. Coach Ian, tell me.
Yeah, Sean, we're going to start with the big boys, Renan Ferreira and Mateus Scheffel. Where are we going? Because I feel like I hear some dogs barking in the background, Ian Parker.
Coach, you know what? You're right. For Renan Ferreira, his last fight he lost, and last season he just seemed so lost when he got taken down, and he seems a little gun-shy with his striking. Enter Scheffel at plus 230. You know what? For me, yes, he got dropped. He got knocked out by Bruno Capoloza, but honestly, who hasn't? And he beat Capoloza the first time. He was winning that fight. I think he's a smarter fighter. I think the more output is there. If you pressure for Renan, you can take away his power. Let's go with the dog, plus 230 on Scheffel. I'm in.
All right. Now, last week we saw Brendan Loughnane get shocked, and he shocked the world. Are we going to see the same thing from Larissa Pacheco? How are we handicapping that fight?
Well, currently she's minus 1250, which is pretty wild. I understand last year's champ, she beat Julia Budd, but Amber Leibrock, she looked great. That high kick to Martina Jindrova was nasty. As Randy said, you could hear it from anywhere on the planet, let alone the arena. I'm going to fight props here. I think both women want to get this done. Pacheco needs a finish to really cement her spot. Let's go under 1.5 rounds, Coach, at minus 185.
Yeah, speaking of needing a finish, Aspen Ladd, big-time signing coming over. She needs a finish tonight. Now, you're already picking her to win, but I need a bold prediction brought to us by Puncher's Chance in that same fight. Talk to me.
Coach, you know what? I do like Aspen Ladd in this fight. I think strategically, stylistically, it makes sense. She has someone striking, I think, on the same level, also a ground fighter, but Ladd's going to be the more physical fighter. I'm going to go round 2 win for Aspen Ladd at plus 850. I think she kind of feels it out in the first round, gets a takedown, gets that TKO, and gets her way into the playoffs.
That is a gorgeous number, Sean. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to have picks from the early card, including the very first fight of the night. Back to you.
Leave it to Ian Parker to find you plus 850 on a wager. That's why he's the best in the business. We got fights coming up minutes away, but we've got lots more to talk about right here as the pre-show continues next on ESPN Plus.
Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick.
We support all those willing to take the puncher's chance.
It's about challenging myself every day, taking a chance.
It's never standing still, never taking it for granted, and never following because you never know what lies ahead.
Living life my way, enjoying the ride, despite the obstacles.
Achieving your goals takes grit and determination, with a bit of luck and the help of a few good friends. But to create a memorable life takes something more.
The puncher's chance.
hear a certain sound, it takes me to a certain place. I can feel that calm come over me. It puts me in the zone. For every single event, I've had the same exact playlist and the same exact mantra. This is my day. This is my purpose. Listening to those songs, saying my mantra to myself is a positive affirmation that this is where I belong. 1 minute at a time, 1 move at a time, 1 breath at a time. My mindset and my heart are second to none, and that makes me believe in myself.
This is the hardest competition in sport, never mind combat.
It was crazy, a crazy experience. This was hard as
I think it was a little bit overwhelming for, how quick the pace is for the season.
It is demanding, it is grueling, it is one of the toughest tests, but I welcome it.
We're gonna make this climb. You climb, and then you get thrown off the mountain and you have to start over again.
Com certeza é uma das coisas mais difíceis de se fazer.
Larissa! A PFL season is one hell of a hill to climb, and here's how the season works. 10 fighters in each division, 6 different divisions, 2 regular season fights for each fighter. You earn points for a win, 3 points for a win, bonus points for finishing any round, and then the top 4 fighters on points in each division will make the playoffs. Then there's a $1 million champion in each division. You get a nice gold belt with it. Coming up later, right here on ESPN Plus, we'll also be on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Our main card, we've talked about that on the pre-show. Delia Green, Pacheco Leibrock, Hina Fajeda and Mateusz Scheffel, Aspen Ladd and Carolina Sobek, and Biagio Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali, will open the action in a special showcase bout. But the first fights will happen right here exclusively on Plus as we take a look at our early card. Denis Goltsov is a fat favorite, minus 750, as is Olena Kolesnik, as she welcomes Yoko Higashi back into the smart cage. All right, fellas, I just showed you the early card. Kenny, you go first. A fight to watch here when we get started on Plus.
For me, it's Evelyn Martins, only 20 years old. She's taken on Marina Maknakina, who looked absolutely fantastic in her last fight. Marina, multiple-time Sambo world champion, and her skills were on full display in her last one. Had excellent striking on the feet, very clean and crisp, excellent level changes, did a great job of getting takedowns as well. And there's Martins, who many times it looks like she shot out of a cannon to start the fight. High-level striker, also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
At only 20 years of age. And both fighters have points, so we'll see how they can potentially improve upon their standings, or maybe the loser gets knocked out. Randy, fight for you to watch.
Well, you talk about Sambo world champions. Denis Goltsov, 2-time world champion master of sport and combat Sambo. This guy's got the best jab in all of the sport of mixed martial arts. Very well-rounded fighter. His ground and pound and submission game is on point, as you would expect. He's looking to qualify for his 4th semifinal. He has yet to make it out of the playoffs and into the finals. Can he get that done and secure that spot in the playoffs tonight? He's a very well-rounded fighter. He's going to be tough for anybody to deal with at 6'5". This guy's a very well-rounded guy.
Goltsov sitting pretty right now atop the heavyweight standings, but again, this is the second half of the regular season as the push to the playoffs continues. You're not guaranteed anything. All right, I showed you some of the numbers next to these names. Tough ones to bet. Jonathan, Coachman, Ian Parker, how are we betting the early card?
Yeah, Sean, I got out of bed this morning, a big old fat smile on my face because I realized my 2 favorite words, Parker's Parlay in the house. We have no time to waste. Ian Parker, talk to me.
You got me there with the morning wake-up routine, and I believe it. You know what? We're going to start off with Denis Goltsov. Look, at minus 750, he's going to be the first leg. This is going to be a chalky parlay, so I'm going to go some favorites here, try to get us some plus money, because honestly, it's hard to bet those with the situation here. So we're going to go with Goltsov. We're going to also go with Danilo Marquez. I thought he looked great against Yorgan De Castro. Moving on, we are then going to go up the ladder. We're going to go to Larissa Pacheco, and we are then going to go with Ante Delia. And Coach, if you look at the board, that puts us at plus 118.
It's hard to do, but somehow you managed to do it. Now, it's rare that you have a fight where both fighters have points, but that's what we have, Martins and Maknakina. I got it right. But how are we handicapping this fight?
I'm going with Marina here. You know, look, Evelyn Martin's 20 years old. She did look good in the Challenger Series. But, Coach, she missed weight here. And in her last fight against Sobrak, I saw a little bit of, I guess you want to call it somewhat of a flaw. The striking in the first round, she looked a little hesitant, looked a little lost. She came back in rounds 2 and 3. Kenny said Marina Makhnakina looked the best she ever has, and I agree. I think at -110, I think that Sambo comes into play here. I think the experience is going to matter. I think she's physically stronger. We're going to take Marina in this one.
All right, first fight of the night is a guy named Denzel Freeman. Tell me, as you're playing with the big board, why you like him.
You know what? We saw him on the Challenger Series. This is someone who people kept calling a wrestler or grappler, and he won via high kick KO. And he had a really good personality after. He's fighting someone, Isaiah Pinson, who was a big underdog on the Challenger Series too, but he took a lot of shots, and I don't know if he'll be able to handle that. His opponent, the cardio went out early. Freeman, I believe, is a Marine. Those guys do not mess up when it comes to cardio. I'm going with Denzel Freeman here. He's getting it done in the curtain jerker.
And that's, that's all the damage that we can do. Now, Sean, we're going to be here all night for updates, touts, anything that's going on live betting-wise. We got you covered, but I'm ready for some fights. Are you, sir?
Very ready for some fights. How about the plus odds cashing on Coach getting Marina Makhnakina, the pronunciation right?
Yeah.
He was a big underdog.
I bet against him. I bet against him.
Sorry, Coach. By the way, we're going to start the action, as Ian Parker just said, with the heavyweight showcase. 2 Challenger Series veterans, 2 guys who both won. Now they're here trying to impress the bosses, maybe get an invitation to a future heavyweight season. And when you talk about potential, both of these young fighters showed us a lot. We're 2 great athletes, all right?
Absolutely.
Ian mentioned the Marine, his story,
Denzel
right?
Freeman.
Denzel Freeman. Isaiah Pinson was an All-American football player in college. He was an offensive tackle. He shed a bunch of weight. I'm really excited for this match.
He's tough as nails. Don't sleep on him. He was a big underdog, faced a massive Brazilian in that one and was able to pull it together and get the win.
It's been great talking to you guys. But we're ready for some fights. There is Isaiah Pinson, final finishing touches on a warm-up. As I mentioned, a former collegiate football All-American. Do not sleep on the athleticism of that man. Freeman Pinson next.
Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick. Let the bass kick.
We support all those willing to take the puncher's chance.
It's about challenging myself every day, taking a chance.
It's never standing still, never taking it for granted, and never following because you never know what lies ahead.
Living life my way, enjoying the ride, despite the obstacles.
Achieving your goals takes grit and determination, with a bit of luck and the help of a few good friends. But to create a memorable life takes something more.
The puncher's chance.
When I hear a certain sound, it takes me to a certain place. I can feel that calm come over me. It puts me in the zone. For every single event, I've had the same exact playlist and the same exact mantra. This is my day. This is my purpose. Listening to those songs, saying my mantra to myself is a positive affirmation that this is where I belong. 1 minute at a time, 1 move at a time, 1 breath at a time. My mindset and my heart are second to none, and that makes me believe in myself.
Tonight,
On the Professional Fighters League, women's featherweights and heavyweights are throwing down. A million ways, I only need one. A million moments, I only need one. Larissa Pacheco continues her vicious run